Well, the Pac-12 is alive and well as we saw today. What a day for the Pac-12, starting off with Colorado and what Deion Sanders and his boys did against TCU, who was in the Final Four last year. I believe was in the title game last year. Got whooped in the title game, but was there nonetheless. Colorado took them down. Colorado was pathetic last year. I think they maybe won one game. And to show that, as well as what happened at the Washington game here, which I'm going to talk about. This is a rapid reaction to the UW Huskies defeating the Boise State Broncos. I think the final score was 56-19. The last 5 minutes of the game were garbage time. All the backups were in the game. This game was decided really in the fourth quarter, very early. It was decided really halfway through the second half. What a day. What a day for the Pac-12 as we start the series finale of this conference. A bit of a melancholy day, but when you look at things overall and you see how stacked this conference is, it's really something to see. I mean, Caleb Williams at USC, they're number 6. UW with Michael Penix, number 10. Oregon at number 15, I think, with Bo Nix. Oregon State, 18th. I'm missing a team here. They have 5 total teams in the Utah with Cam Rising. I think he's number 14. They're number 14 in the country. So you have 5 teams in the top 25 here. Many of them Heisman Trophy candidates. Caleb Williams won it last year. Penix is a huge candidate to win it this year, in addition to Bo Nix. I mean, this is going to be a hell of a conference race in the Pac-12. But let's talk about this game. My Huskies defeating the Boise State Broncos, really laying a beatdown on this team. And, of course, it begins and ends with Michael Penix, an incredible, incredible player. I'm going to read you a stat line here. 29 of 40 for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's his stat line. I think that's maybe on par or a little better than what Shador Sanders did today, who is all over ESPN and all over the sports world. That's the biggest story. But what Michael Penix did today, extremely, extremely impressive. If you've watched this guy play before, you know that he is one of the most impressive players in college football. He led college football last year for a long time in most passing yards. He is a gifted thrower of the ball in multiple ways. Accuracy, strength, distance, his awareness. He'll throw the ball away when it's not when the throw is not there. Very smart. Barely throws any interceptions. Today he had 5 touchdowns. And how many of those were to McMillan? 2 of them were to McMillan. 1 to Roma Dunze, 1 to Jalen Polk, 1 to Jack Westover, 1 to Josh Cuevas. Well, no, Josh Cuevas, I think, was Dylan Morris, because Dylan Morris came in at the end of the game and threw a touchdown as well. Roma Dunze, 132 yards and a touchdown on 7 catches. Jalen Polk, 3 catches, 101 yards and a touchdown. Jalen McMillan, 95 yards and 2 touchdowns on 8 catches. And he ran for another one. And they were trying to feed him at the end of the game intentionally to get him a 4th touchdown. Didn't pan out. He was stopped at the goal line, and they couldn't go for it on 4th down. But Michael Penix, breaking down this guy's game, I mean, his good throws are the best college football throws I've ever seen. Like I mentioned in the beginning, distance. I mean, NFL-type distance, something that I'm not used to seeing even as a UW fan that had quarterbacks with different skill sets, but never 2 of the same skill sets that make you a good quarterback, which is accuracy and a cannon for an arm. Jake Browning had accuracy, but no cannon. Jacob Eason had a cannon, but no accuracy. Michael Penix has both, and he'll throw the ball away instead of throwing interceptions. I mean, listen, if you're watching this just as a general college football fan, not even as a UW Husky fan, I mean, this is relevant to you because this guy is likely going to be in New York, hopefully, for the Heisman Trophy presentation as a top 5 Heisman Trophy candidate. He is legit. Let me break down his game a little bit. So like I said, his best throws are the best I've seen in college football, but he also will throw balls when players are open. He'll just overthrow them sometimes. I mean, very rarely. Very rarely. I think I maybe saw it 3 times in this game. So he really could have had 8 touchdown throws because these other 3 times the players were wide open. And you know what that does? That speaks to how good the wide receivers are at getting open. And thank goodness for the name, image, likeness rule in college football that was recently introduced, because that's what allowed Penix to come back, but then also it's what allowed a lot of these receivers to come back as well. Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan, and Roma Dunze. Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan have very differently spelled names, but it's the same name. And Jack Westover is quite good too as a tight end. So zooming out a little bit on this and just a broader look at the UW offense, they are extremely pass heavy, as we saw today. Extremely, extremely pass heavy. I mean, I would say today it was maybe 80 to 85% pass, 15 to 20% run. And Cam Davis, their star running back, or who's supposed to be the star running back now that Wayne Talapapa is on the practice squad on the Seahawks, got injured. He had a season-ending injury before the season started. And now this is going to be Nixon's backfield. What's his first name? I don't even know his first name. Is it Will Nixon? That's his backfield. He had 6 carries for 48 yards. Pretty good. But Dylan Johnson, 7 carries for 12 yards and a touchdown. That's not great. That's 1.7 yards a carry. So we didn't really see much of the run game today. And I'm not sure how much we're going to get out of the run game. Honestly, Will Nixon seems like a little bit undersized, or maybe somewhere in between. Like if you know the Seahawks situation, it's Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Ken Walker is the speedster. Zach Charbonnet is the powerful player that is able to run over guys. Will Nixon looks like he's somewhere in the middle there, and that's maybe not a great thing. I prefer him maybe to be one or the other, but we'll see. He had some bursts today. They didn't really use him a lot, but if I see maybe one deficiency of this offense, it's that, you know, if you're going to just pass as much as you pass, and how many pass attempts did UW have today? Let me see. They had 42 pass attempts. I mean, if you're just going to do that, then defenses, you're going to play much better defenses than Boise State. They're just going to adapt to that, and they're going to play they're going to play more defensive backs. So you need to show that you're able to run. And I think Will Nixon, probably against better teams, are going to have to run him more than they did today. But a tremendous, tremendous game by Penix, tremendous game by Coach Kalen DeBoer. Great connection between Penix and McMillan. He looks to also be a tremendous receiver throughout this year. What else? Kalen DeBoer is very, very greedy, and I haven't seen this from another UW coach, or really any other coach. I mean, he is trying to run up the score. They called a timeout at the end of the first half, even though they were up by 20. And we're trying to put up more points. It ended up backfiring because it gave the ball back to Boise State, and they put up 3 points. I understand this is a world where you don't play these teams in these other conferences enough to be able to compare them, so you have to just trounce your opponent. You have to blow out your opponent to show the point disparity in order for you to be voted into the playoffs. So I feel bad for Boise State. I thought at the end, if they had kept their starters in UW, they might have gotten intentionally injured by Boise State players because it was kind of rubbing salt on the wound. But thankfully, they put in Dylan Morris and some of the backups. So um, I'm happy they did that to preserve them. Roma Dunze, there was a play where he fumbled the ball near the end of the game, and amongst 5 players, was still able to recover it. A lot of heart there. I was really impressed. So that was the UW offense in this game. Very, very impressive. Put up 56 points. Of course, it's against Boise State, but Boise State got votes in the top 25 ranking for college football, and I think they had enough votes to keep them out of the top 25, but maybe in the top 35. So they're no slouches. So this is it's more impressive than the Oregon win. Oregon put up 81 points, but that was against Portland State. Portland State is, I think they might even be second division, really. And Colorado is going to enter the rankings. Colorado is going to be top 25 after defeating TCU. TCU, I think, was 7th or 17th in the top 25 rankings. So they will absolutely be there. There will be probably 6 teams from the Pac-12 in the top 25. Moving now to the Boise State offense. They basically had one player, and that was their running back, Gianti. Gianti was he was the star of the game for their team. He was pretty much the reason they scored those two. He scored those 2 touchdowns, actually. He rushed for one, and then he caught a pass and ran for one. I think he had a total of 150 yards, if I'm not mistaken here, 44 rushing and 109 receiving. Boise State, basically the only thing that worked for them was a screen pass to their running back. I remember there was one 50-yard scamper that they had with him, and of course he ran for one early in the game, and then caught another one late where he broke a tackle. So Gianti is really the running back is really the star of this team. Their quarterback is not great. He was making mistakes everywhere. How many interceptions did he throw to us? 2 interceptions. But great job by the UW defense to get those interceptions. Other than that, though, there was a lot of just not great passing, not great running. I mean, even Gianti, 10 for 44 yards. I mean, he got that 7-yard rush touchdown, but 10 rushes, 40 for 44 yards is just kind of okay. They were playing catch up most of the game, though. But Boise State, if they want to succeed, they have to feed the ball to that Gianti often, more often than how many touches did he get in this one? He got 10 rushes, 4 catches, 14 touches. Give him 20 touches. Give him 25 touches, 30 touches. That's how you guys will be successful this year. But that's really all I have to say about them. But on the other side of that equation is the UW defense, which early on didn't look great. Was a little shaky. Of course, that's nerves to start the year. Beautiful day in Seattle. Had a bigger crowd than they usually do in these early season games. So kudos to ESPN for being there and for the Sailgaters and you put the greatest setting in college football on display, and the people were there, and I was really heartened to see that. Maybe that's because UW is ranked 10th in the country. But it was great to see. I hope that keeps up for the rest of the year. Maybe the reason why it didn't in previous years is because they lost to Montana, their first game, I think, a couple years ago. So that's how you keep the momentum strong, by winning and winning convincingly, especially as you're supposed to. UW defense. Most important thing I saw from them were the pass breakups by the DBs. By Banks and Muhammad. Those guys are the ones that stood out to me. Eddie Olafosio, I think he had a sack in this game. He got to the quarterback. There was a good number. There's a good amount of pressure that came from the defensive line, but not many sacks. I just saw maybe 1 sack. Let me double check here. Was there more than 1 sack in this game? I guess they don't really record sacks on ESPN, but basically that's what I remember. I just remember a single sack that they had in this game. Other than that, they're going to face much tougher offenses than what they saw today. Against the run, I didn't think that they were that great. I think they need to shore that up. Against the pass, they look a little better. Like I said, you can't really glean much from this game because Boise State really just had one weapon, and that guy got 150 yards on you. So it's really, I mean, that was the shortcoming of UW last year was their defense. So TBD on the defense, but they showed some good things. Banks, Muhammad Olafosio, and then also Bruner there at the end with the interception and almost returned it for a touchdown. Those are the guys that stood out to me. And the Boise State defense, Haram Mesakin, they got whooped. They got whooped today. It was ugly. They had some points of the game where they got like some big stops and they get some good pass breakups and but I got nothing else to say about this Boise State defense. Final thoughts on this game. Penix is unreal. Penix is unreal. If you're just a football fan, you have to watch UW games just to watch their quarterback. Some of these throws that he makes, and he's a left-hander. He's kind of unique to see. So if you have some time, watch some UW, even if you're not a UW fan. Hopefully there's a lot of UW fans that maybe are watching this because it's in the title. But if you're not a UW fan, watch some UW games. I think if you enjoy football and quarterback play, I think you'll enjoy watching Penix play. All right, so that's the recap. Before I finish off this this recap podcast here, I want to shout out Nepal, audience in Nepal, a guy in Nepal. I don't know if it's one guy or multiple people, but we had a surge of podcast plays from Nepal. I think 50 podcast plays in one day. So if it's multiple people or one guy or one gal, I appreciate it. And let me know what kind of stuff you'd like to see in the future. That was pretty cool to see. So this is a YouTube live. So anyone that's listening on a podcast platform, I'm going to give my spiel here at the end. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, share, comment, all that stuff. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Pandora, which took over from Stitcher or iHeartRadio, Amazon, Exo Player, whatever it is, follow us on there. Give us a 5-star rating on there would be really appreciative. And I'll follow us on all the social media as well. Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, and even Facebook. Just jumped on Facebook as well to see what's going on Facebook and to reach out to all the 90-year-olds that are on Facebook so they can get some Football v Football podcast. So thanks all for tuning in. Until next time, go Dogs.